Pitch shifters, octavers, and harmonizers are some of the coolest types of effects for guitar. Some of my favorite artists like Botch, Giraffes, and Battles use pitch bass effects in really cool and unique ways. I found in my own playing that pitch bass effects are amazing tools while songwriting, as they can really transform your guitar and take your song to the next level. So today we're going to talk about what pitch bass effects are, and I'm going to show you how you can incorporate them into your own guitar playing. My name's Cole. I make videos about music and gear. If that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel and following me on my Instagram page at colg.music. So what are pitch-based effects? Well, in this video, we are going to talk about three types: pitch shifters, octavers, and harmonizers. Fundamentally, all three of these effects are pretty similar. They manipulate your guitar's original pitch by either pitching it up or down, but each one of these effects has its own defining quality. Pitch shifter effects like the Digitech Whammy typically remove your guitar's dry sound and fundamental pitch and replace it with an affected sound. This affected sound will typically be higher or lower than your guitar's actual sound, or sometimes it will incorporate your guitar's dry signal to create an interval when you're playing. Pitch shifter pedals usually allow you to plug in an expression pedal, or in the case of the Digitech Whammy, they come built in with an expression pedal, and that allows you to bend the pitch up or down. Pitch shifter pedals are a very in-your-face style of pitch-based effects. You're going to hear it, especially if you're bending the pitch up and down with a whammy pedal. It's very obvious to hear it, and it's kind of hard to do it subtly, though it can be done. Octavers like the Boss OC5 and the Electro Harmonix POG, as the name implies, add an octave signal to your guitar sound. It can be octave up or it can be an octave down. If you octave down, you can make your guitar sound like it's being doubled by a bass, or if you turn the mix knob all the way up to 100, it will just sound like a bass. Or if you octave up, you can make your guitar kind of sound like a synth or an organ. Harmonizers like the Boss Harmonizer add multiple pitch intervals to your guitar sound. This effect can mimic the sound of multiple guitarists playing at once, or it can mimic the sound of chords. Alright, it's time for me to show you how you can actually incorporate pitch-based effects into your guitar playing. Before we start, I just want to say all of the guitar tones are coming from the quad Cortex. Let's start with pitch-shifted effects. As I mentioned earlier, pitch shifter effects are pretty in your face, and a lot of that is because pitch shifter pedals like the Digitech Whammy have an expression pedal controlling them. And I do have an expression pedal underneath me here. It's a Hotone one, and it works really good. But you can see here by just the sound I'm about to show you, it's pretty in your face and, well, noticeable. Now I find that pitch shifters can sometimes be a bit hard to tame if you're not careful. When I'm using a pitch shifter sound like this, I don't want to overdo it because it'll sound just kind of like, which is admittedly really fun, but also admittedly sounds like trash. So what I will do is if I'm writing a riff or playing a riff, I'm going to pick a part of it to bring in the pitch shifter. I'm not going to do it typically all the time. So if I have a riff like this, I'm gonna go. I like using a pitch shifter like that because you're not overstaying your welcome, you're doing your part and then you're getting out immediately. And like, yes, you can do it for soloing. So if I was soloing, you can do it, it's just, for me it's a little bit too much. I kind of get sick of the sound, honestly, fairly fast. But with pitch shifter pedals like the Whammy, you can go up and you can go down with pitch and do different intervals with it. We're going to go down now with the pitch, and you'll hear it's still pretty in your face. I find that I like using a pitch shifter that goes down in pitch more just because it adds more weight and body to your riffs. So check this riff out. Just now if I add a pitch shifter to that, now obviously the octave up and octave down pitch shifted sounds are really in your face, but you can make them a bit more subtle. So I've switched to a cleaner sound that sounds like this, a slight phaser on it, and now if I add in a higher octave, it sounds like this. So there's one other way I like to use a pitch shifter with an expression pedal, and it's basically to emulate a pedal steel guitar. So basically I have this sound right now. It's a mix of a pitch shifted sound and a dry sound, so it creates an interval. And then I'm going to use my expression pedal and go up, so it's going to sound like this. It's one of the more musical ways I think that you can use a pitch shifter effect with an expression pedal. I kind of got the idea to do this and stole this basically from shoegaze music. A lot of shoegaze bands will do this where they'll set their whammy pedal to make this effect, and it just sounds so cool. Like, if you have a lot of reverb and delay and some fuzz on it, you can really create a wall of sound. You can just get like engulfed by the wall of sound there that you get with it. It's super fun. When I'm using pitch shifter sounds, I typically like to use an expression pedal, but you can get some cool sounds without it. So back to that pedal steel sound. This is a really cool just like sound on guitar. It's still a really pretty sound. And also, even if I just go to like an octave sound, you can get some really cool textures. You don't need an expression pedal. Another weird thing that I like about pitch effects in general, and especially pitch shifters, is that once you start throwing chords at it, it sometimes gets this weird digital artifact. Hear how it sounds like it's battling each other? In the right setting with the right delay, reverb modulation, you can get some really cool effects that just make your guitar stand out a lot more in a cool way. But that's pitch shifter sounds. Now let's talk about octavers. I love octaver sounds. They're really great for beefing up your guitar sound or making it just sound not like a guitar at all. I find that I use octavers a lot more than any of the other pitch shifted sounds just because they're really versatile. The first octaver sound I'm going to show you is all over post-2000 rock thanks to the White Stripes and a ton of other bands, but it's basically just your guitar signal with an octave below it, so here's how it sounds. It's just a really sick sound. I love playing with it. With the lower octave setting, what you could basically do is just turn the mix all the way up to 100, and then basically you just get a bass sound, which works really great when you're looping stuff. But going back to that sound, this sound works great if you want to make your riffs just sound bigger. Like if I play that same kind of riff, I don't remember exactly what I played. Without the octaver, it sounds like this. And if I add the octaver, it just adds so much weight to it. And this sound basically allowed bands like the White Stripes to not hire a bassist or use a bassist because you got the bassist in that sound. The other octave sound I love is based off of an Electro Harmonix POG. This pedal basically octaves your guitar up and down in multiple different ways, and basically it makes your guitar kind of sound like an organ. Check this out. pretty wild. Let me add a rotary sound to it and it really gets that organ feel pretty close. Now I'll add some reverb and you get a more pad-like sound. Now it's a bit of a wacky sound and you may wonder why would I want to use that on guitar, and honestly, good question. But first of all, it's a fun sound and it's fun to play with, and also it works really well if you play in a band that doesn't have a keyboardist but does have another guitarist, because this kind of takes the place of a keyboard. I took out the rotary sound but I kept the reverb in, and if you hear it, I'm always on the quest to make my guitar not sound like a guitar, because it just makes guitar more interesting and exciting for me. So I love sounds like these a lot. And honestly, because of the variety of sounds you can get with an Octaver, I think they're my favorite pitch effect. Alright, let's now talk about harmonizers. And honestly, harmonizers are the pitch effect I use the least. I don't use them very much, and if I do, I'm only going to use it for one sound, really. And that's just to kind of get a more pad or synth-like guitar sound, similar to the POG sound I just showed you. But for me, this sound really shines if you use the volume control on your guitar, because you take out the attack that makes your guitar basically sound like a guitar, and doing this will basically create kind of like a pad-like texture with a little bit of delay and reverb behind it. So if I do this, that's how my guitar sounds, just strummed with no processing at all. If I add in the signal, it'll sound like this. That's what I'm going for when I'm using a harmonizer. I don't really care to have the whole double guitar, triple guitar harmonized sound. It's not really my thing. I just like how that sounds because it just makes your chords sound a little bit more complex and a little bit more interesting too. It works really good if you have other guitarists in your band, similar to that POG sound, and you can just do a lot of cool stuff with it. Even if I don't do the volume swell, so those are just some ways that you could incorporate pitch-based effects into your guitar playing. And honestly, I'm barely scratching the surface. You can go so much deeper than this. You just gotta experiment and maybe watch some other YouTube videos about it. Before you potentially rush out to buy a pitch-based effect, I do want to give you one tip. If you do decide to buy one, don't expect it to be an always-on type of pedal. I used to own a Boss OC3 years ago, and I really loved how it sounded, but I didn't use it very much, so I figured I should just sell it and get rid of it because I was using it maybe once a week rather than every single time I played guitar, and I regret doing that because it was a really cool pedal. If you do decide to get a pitch-based effect, don't expect to use it all the time, and don't be sad if you don't use it all the time, because it will have its place and it will serve you well if you like it. And if you're on the fence about pitch-based effects, try to find a modeler that has pitch-based effects built into it, or try to rent them from a guitar store, borrow it from a friend. Try to do that before you spend money on a pedal, because it is a bit of a niche effect and it's not for everyone. And if it's not for you, that's okay. Not every effect is for everyone. But now I want to hear from you. Do you like pitch-based effects or do you hate pitch-based effects? Let me know in the comments down below and let's have a discussion. I'll include links in the description for pitch shifter, Octaver, and harmonizer pedals that I've personally tried and can recommend. These links will be Sweetwater affiliate links, so if you do decide to buy something, I do receive a small commission on this sale. It's a great way to support the channel if you're looking at buying some new gear. But anyways, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel and following me on my Instagram page at coolg.music. But once again, thanks so much for watching. My name's Cole, and I'll see you in the next one.